This is a week where truth was stranger than fiction. There is a lot of funny things that happened on the internet this week that again involves few former U.S. presidents. That is small involves big corporations, small corporations. Are we about to question journalism and a beloved TV host maybe not be as jolly as he seems? A lot of stuff to talk about on the Productive Conversations podcast on this edition of the Tweet Cap. Ryan, what's up?
How's it going, Matt? I mean, yeah, this has been a crazy week. This is also the week that the Starfield game came out. So I was really hoping that I could not pay attention to Twitter that much this week. But there's a lot going on. This has been an insane week.
Any early reviews on Starlight?
Starfield, great
Starfield,
game.
excuse me.
Yeah, great game. The hate online has been very weird. At one point, I wanted to talk about that, the weird hate it's been getting online, but the world got way too crazy. So definitely recommend people check it out. Don't let the YouTube essays and the articles by independent journalists, and we'll talk a little bit about them in this episode more broadly. Don't let their reviews fool you or scare you. Give the game a try. It's free on Game Pass, so you don't have to commit. I did buy the game. I wanted it early. I wanted the extra stuff, but
Mhm.
it is free. You can give it a try. It's massive. It's awesome. If you like Skyrim or Fallout, it's both. So it's definitely good job by Bethesda.
All right. We shouts to them. And maybe if we have a few minutes after, you can let out anything else you have to say about that game. But for
Sure.
now, we can talk about the funny week ahead, the intense week ahead. So first things first, a story dropped this morning. I was in the gym, saw it on
Mm-hmm.
Twitter, and I was like, wow, this is legit. And I read this article 3 times, and I really think I think there's a lot to go on. So let me get to it. The Tonight Show host Jimmy Fallon is accused of being a part of a toxic work environment. Let me say that again. Jimmy Fallon, beloved talk show host, has allegedly been accused of being a part of a toxic work environment. This coming out of an article from Rolling Stone magazine today, the day this was dropped on September 7th, this Thursday. And this article was written by someone named Kristen Lee Yandley. And here is what she had to say. Okay, so there's a lot to take in here, but I think it's all relevant and important. So, as I said, Jimmy Fallon, been the Tonight Show host since 2014. Really good ratings up until the 2016 election. Obviously, people are aware of all the skits and the games and all of that. But apparently, amongst this strike, not everybody felt so jolly. So, let me tell you what exactly happened with Jimmy Fallon. Rolling Stone and Kristen Yandley, she interviewed 16 current and former staffers who went on the record to talk about their difficult experience working on the Tonight Show. She actually spoke with 80 staff members in total, and not one person had a positive thing to say about Jimmy Fallon or the showrunners. And a lot of them went anonymously to protect themselves from fallback. So some of these things that have been said in the article, Jimmy Fallon has had, quote, either good Jimmy days or bad Jimmy days, depending on the vibe. And there have been accusations of him abusing alcohol and have come to the show either drunk or hungover. And this includes in 2017, staffers thought Jimmy was drunk in front of the audience during a rehearsal. And he allegedly couldn't remember what he did during that day or the show back in 2017. Staffers also said that they smelled alcohol in his breath as early as 2019 and 2020. And the bosses and the showrunners were not pleasant as well, such as Jamie German Betterman, who was a former showrunner of the show. And by the way, in the 9-year history, there have been 9 different
Yep.
showrunners running the show. And what Betterman has been accused, Betterman has been accused of that she would often belittle employees and allegedly have had instances of racism, such as going up to a black person and talking about her hair, and also fat shaming.
Mhm.
And also, this article has said Jimmy would often have outbursts. People complained to NBC Universal HR, but HR seemed to not do anything. They would report to the managers, but they would not take any further action. His article also claims that the dressing rooms that would host celebrities and guests on the show would often be referred to as crying rooms, where people would let out their emotions in the toxic work environment. 4 staffers have gone into therapy based on their experience, and 3 of them have even allegedly said they've had suicidal tendencies from the tough work environment. This article also accused Jimmy would both privately and publicly shame staffers, privately in sending emails such as things as saying you're doing a bad job, or in this, what could be an infamous situation during a sketch with Jerry Seinfeld, where Jimmy allegedly berated the cue card holder, made Jerry Seinfeld so uncomfortable that he demanded Jimmy to apologize, which he did. You actually put Jerry Seinfeld on the seat. And NBC did make a statement, and it says, quote, as follows: "We are incredibly proud of the Tonight Show, and providing a respectful working environment is a top priority," the spokesman said in the article. And they also say here, as in any workplace, we have had employees raise issues. Those have been investigated and action has been taken where appropriate. As always the case, we encourage employees who feel they have experienced or observed behavior inconsistent with our policies to report their concerns so that we may address them accordingly. Now, what's funny about this statement, they did not mention Jimmy Fallon or the showrunners here. A pretty broad statement. So those are some of the highlights here. So Jimmy Fallon accused of a hostile work environment, belittling employees, publicly and privately embarrassing them, and also having people have bad mental health issues for somebody who was so beloved and somebody who had such a reputation. This is quite an interesting thing to find out. And also with the alleged uses of alcoholism. Now, I understand there are addictions. Alcoholism is a disease, but, that's something that has been a rumor for a long time. And It seems to have all come to a head in this article. Now, I will say that just dropped about a couple hours ago that behind closed doors, Jimmy apparently did apologize privately to the staff, but not much further has been expressed there. And Jimmy hasn't made a statement to the public yet. So, Ryan, Jimmy Fallon, no one could have had any more good PR from there. And now you hear all of this. This was quite alarming, don't you think?
Yeah, a couple of things. I read the same article. We're about to excoriate somebody for being a horrible journalist. So I wanted to say a couple of quick things.
Mm-hmm.
One, at the end, I don't know if you saw this, Rolling Stone has since edited their article. They got in touch with Seinfeld, who says that the story that they published about him being uncomfortable is completely untrue. He said that he knows the situation. He and Jimmy still laugh about it. He was kidding, meaning Seinfeld was kidding about the apology. Jimmy, he did.
He was kidding about it.
Yeah, he wasn't actually like uncomfortable telling Jimmy to apologize. He was like, "Oh, you're being mean. You should apologize." It was apparently Seinfeld was joking with Fallon about Fallon yelling at the cue card guy. So I wanted to point that out. I also wanted to point out that only 2 current employees came forward out of the 16. So there were 16 total, right? 2 of them work there currently. The rest are all former employees.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that's important for people as they're hearing the story to know. 2 of the people currently work there. So that is 2 people who work there right now who came forward saying, yeah, hostile work environment. The rest are all people who either quit or were fired. I said this to you before, that we have as a society, we really like to hit the choir boy when they hit the wrong note, essentially. Like we talked a little bit offline about some of the other late night hosts from eras gone by who I think objectively in public, like the persona they gave off weren't the squeaky clean, everybody loves him. Like Jimmy Fallon was like, kind of Saint Jimmy, whereas like people like Letterman had very public and were issues, and we just knew about them, and it almost made his behavior just fine because we knew he had these issues. He was open and upfront with them, and so it didn't matter that he behaved badly. It just mattered that he didn't tell us, or that he did tell us. I don't know what's going on with Jimmy Fallon. I really don't. If he's got alcohol issues, He should probably get those checked out. This is not the first time that that's been brought up. So I think, where there's smoke, there's fire, that he may be abusing alcohol. And if that's the case, I mean, yeah, he should see someone about that, because obviously it's impacting his life. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
In terms of the hostile work environment, I don't know. I'll be honest, Matt. I've worked in some pretty interesting work environments over my, career thus far. Uh, Not all of them have been good for my mental health. Just put that out there as a fact. I can actually empathize with a lot of these folks, and their stories about the way they were feeling at work. Like when your boss is having a bad day, just put your head down and don't look at them, because you know what I mean. Like I've done that. I've been in that situation,
Mm-hmm.
um, and nothing happened to my boss in that situation. You know what I mean? So I don't think, I know a lot of people think that this is the end of Jimmy Fallon. I don't think it is. Being a bad boss is not a crime. Being a bad boss it's nothing. Being a bad boss is just being a bad boss. There's people who go their whole career as shitty bosses. But I do think that Jimmy Fallon, because of his celebrity, has a real important role to play here. Because right now we're in the middle of this actor strike, the writer strike. So much is going on with like the future of entertainment and work. And if Jimmy did this, and I think he probably did at least most of it, if not all of it, right? He should, I agree with you, apologize. If you remember when he did the blackface skit, right? For
On
SNL, and that
SNL.
resurfaced, and he apologized about for doing that. And I think that he is, what I think he can do with this is show that I don't always get it right, and I'm sorry. Now, there's going to be people who want him to go down just because we like to see.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we like to see the priest, or not the priest, the saint get eaten alive by the lion. It goes back to Rome. But I think if he does that, he'll be just fine. And then hopefully it changes. That's obviously the underlying thing, is that whether all of it's true, half of it's true, none of it's true, there were 16 people who worked there who felt like they were treated unfairly. So they have to do something. You can't let that many people go in and out of your doors feeling like they've been ignored, feeling like that, they're not mentally healthy after doing, work for you. Like, you can't do that. You can't possibly do that. And I think if nothing else happens, this will make NBC a less desirable place to work.
Yeah,
I
especially the
mean,
fact that
yeah,
these reports to HR, it seems to be swept on
right.
the
And they
rug. Like,
did nothing.
is it because he is a top talent? Is this what we're
Yeah,
basically trying to prove? And if this is true, if some of these facts were fabricated or exaggerated,
exaggerated more than likely. Yeah,
but at least the important thing I think to get is the most important thing is the fact of the NBC HR. That's what they're there for.
right,
They'll cancel and take anyone's job who isn't a celebrity, but is it
right.
when you're a celebrity, you are protected a little more?
Well, I'll be honest. This kind of reminds me of Dave Portnoy. We're not going to talk about this on this show, but he went on a bit of a rant over some staffing things that happened at Barstool recently, and he said to an employee on like screen, like, you are a
Like a stream.
backbencher. You mean nothing. So you cannot come at the people who mean something, because you don't mean anything yet. And I
Boy.
think, as horrible as that is to hear out loud, and as much as like all of us wish that wasn't true, that is true. Jimmy Fallon makes them money.
Mm-hmm.
Fact. Now, Jimmy should understand that those folks make them money. I mean, there's a reason that, the Tonight Show is not happening right now, because none of the people who work on the Tonight Show can work on the Tonight Show. If it was the magic, if Jimmy Fallon could just stand in front of a television camera and make NBC money, that's what would be happening. But it's not, because it takes a lot of people. It takes a lot of talented people to write a show, to produce a show, to edit a show, to get it to air. And so it's incumbent upon him, not NBC necessarily, although NBC shouldn't be ignoring complaints. But it's incumbent upon him to be a good leader. NBC is supposed to make money. If we're looking for companies to save us, to have our back as workers, that's never going to happen.
And
I don't know
also
who needs to
more
hear that.
respect
It's
for
never
the
going to happen.
HR, for the HR portion of these businesses. Like, we all isn't, this big joke in America that everybody doesn't like HR
Well, this is
for
why,
various
because what do they
reasons.
do?
Yeah, and this is like an ultimate example of that. Nothing.
Payroll, right? I think they probably finished payroll. Like,
Yeah,
but so everyone likes that. They like that HR signs their paychecks. But other than that, the thing exists. That all exists because your boss can give you all these problems, and there's nothing you can do about it. But it's been that way forever. So I think overall, this story is big. Jimmy needs to say something. Because the
yeah,
quieter he is, I think the more it hurts his brand. But I don't. I would be shocked if NBC took any sort of serious disciplinary action.
yeah,
Um, Now, if any of those showrunners named still work there, they should probably get their resume, uh, you know, going.
get a new
And
career.
honestly, I could
Mhm,
see anyone who works for HR who is in these emails that Rolling Stone has can also probably pack their, their desk up.
mhm.
They're probably gone. They're going to fire some people. They have to. People are demanding it, but again, those people don't make money. Jimmy Fallon does, so they're going to do everything they can possibly do to not fire Jimmy Fallon. So as long as he doesn't screw up the apology, they'll let him on. Because also, let's be honest, like I don't watch Fallon. I don't think you watch Fallon. I do listen to the
No.
podcast with all of the hosts. And I do hope
Mhm.
this doesn't affect that too much. But
It should definitely get some more eyes when the next episode is,
yeah, well,
or
exactly.
listens, I
But
should say.
I don't think the people who watch Fallon are going to stop watching Fallon because he was mean
Mhm.
to his employees. I really don't. I could be totally wrong, but I don't think anyone's like, I'm watching Jimmy Fallon because he's the nice one. I think they're watching Jimmy Fallon because they're watching late night and they have NBC on. You know what I
And
mean?
what's also funny here is, um, you talk about how that you talk about the situation here, and basically I want to know, is are they quote unquote lucky that this happened during a strike when everybody's off work? And like
Yeah,
I wonder
it
how
buys them some
differently
time.
would it be, especially in an important ratings period as
Yeah.
September and the fall is, if this happens. And like, how do I, if, and this almost mirrors a story from, whether it was, I think it was last year or the year before with Ellen. This is almost the
Mm-hmm.
exact same thing,
Yes.
like almost verbatim. Toxic work environment.
Yes,
She didn't do anything, but she ended her show after. Now,
she
I know it's a
did.
different situation, daytime TV. She was already there for a long time. Um, but
Well, I think that
how
that
how do you really
message.
recover
Yeah, so
from
that I'll say because this happened during the strike, they have a few more days to come up with a response.
it? Right?
Because if they had a show tonight, like
They definitely
they
have to
have to
say,
mention it. You know what I mean? You can't not mention it. If he had a show tonight, he'd have to say something because he's about to go on live television.
yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? As far as the Ellen thing, I mean, yeah, part of it's just the age, but also the Ellen DeGeneres show exists for Ellen DeGeneres. It's always like you
Mhm.
couldn't have someone else host the Ellen show. You could put another talk show there, but like you can't just seamlessly transition from Ellen DeGeneres to someone else on the Ellen DeGeneres show. The Tonight Show has existed for a very long time.
Yeah, it's
They don't they do need Jimmy Fallon. I'm going to say that in a second, but they don't technically need Jimmy Fallon to do the Tonight Show. Now, I think they factually need Jimmy Fallon because I mean ratings are down anyway across the board on late night, and there is nobody that they can bring in that's going to fix that. Like, who are they going to bring in to replace Jimmy Fallon? If they told Jimmy to take a hike, go to AA and take a hike. We'll try again another time. Like, I mean, Seth Meyers, that wouldn't work. That wouldn't work at all. I mean, I like Seth Meyers. Again, I'm listening to a podcast with him and Jimmy and all these people. So like, I don't dislike any of these people, but none of them. I mean, that's not true. The Colbert could do it, but Colbert's got a show. Kimmel can do it, but Kimmel's got a show. Like
yeah.
you know what I mean? That none of there's no talent right now that could just pick this up. It would be too different. It wouldn't be the Tonight Show, and that's a separate problem, perhaps. That
Mhm.
and maybe it's the issue that we had with Leno and Letterman. Again, two both very flawed people, openly, as opposed to Jimmy Fallon, who apparently kept it a secret for so long. But
Yeah, but especially Letterman got blackmailed, and
yeah,
he had to say it himself about his affairs with interns, and
yeah.
he was still able to do a show. And some
Well,
people are
yeah,
able
because
to
who could
charm
do
it
it?
a certain way too. I think with his apology, it was such a charming an
I think
honest
he's
but charming
also,
apology.
yeah,
And
but again, also we knew he was a bit slimy.
yeah,
We just did.
exactly.
Again, Letterman and Leno, in fairness, didn't have like any actual big scandals, I don't think, other than he's
Yeah.
had a couple public blowups with other talents, right? But like in general, like Leno's always seen as a hothead. Letterman was always seen as a little bit kind of, you know what I mean? And
He was an
so
arrogant. He was a
yeah,
witty,
so
arrogant guy.
nobody cared that they were dicks because that's what we thought.
Yeah,
But
but that's the
Jimmy,
thing with Jimmy. I'm the perfect person to host the
yeah,
show. Everybody loves me regardless of
he's
demos.
kind and yeah, and so like
But apparently
that's
not, I
why
guess.
this no, that's why this is more, that's why this is more impactful than it would have been otherwise. But I would just
Hmm.
say to folks who are open-minded about this, think about that. We always hang the choir boy out to dry as soon as they hit the wrong note. And it's because we don't like being lied to. But people make mistakes.
Hmm.
Now, this sounds like this was happening for a long time. So I think this probably ventures from mistake to just he's either A, got a problem, or B, a bad manager. Both of those can be fixed. Both of
Yeah,
those can be
clearly.
fixed. And so that's good that he apologized to his staff. They're the ones who need the apology. He didn't do anything to us. As yes, he needs to say something, I think, for his career, but factually, he's done nothing wrong to us, the people online. So he needs to apologize to the people he hurt, and it sounds like he's done that. So that's good. But yeah, not a great day to be Jimmy Fallon, and definitely not a great day to be a fan of Strike Force 5 podcast because we might be down to 4 in the coming episodes.
Unbelievable. If Conan just stayed a little longer, right, to come and save the day.
You think
Also,
Conan? I don't think Conan could turn the ratings around. Actually, to be honest with you,
oh, the Tonight Show. Oh
yeah,
no, I mean he should. Conan should still be the Tonight Show. Let's be host. Let's be real. Got taken from him, and in an alternate universe, he's still the Tonight Show host. But
yeah, that's probably
it is what
true.
it
But
is, right?
I think Fallon was a fine Tonight Show host. Apparently, a bad boss of the Tonight Show.
Yeah,
But
but
on TV, I thought he was very talented.
absolutely, and I do agree. You just wonder, how you go about this, especially when there is no due date for the strike.
Yeah,
And yeah, this is interesting. I figured in the next few days somebody has to say something,
someone has
and
to.
then we'll
Either
forget about
NBC
it.
has to say he's going away, or Fallon has to speak up and apologize to NBC and apologize to everybody. One of the two has to
Mhm.
happen in a few days.
And then maybe if the strike ends in after the holidays, I don't know, but then we'll just go about it until late night. Just I don't want to say late night is dead anyways, but
It's gonna
it's
keep going
Evans
along the way
Evans.
it's going along.
Yeah, it'll be there.
Yes.
It'll be there. And I hope it is there for a long time. Now let's talk about something legitimately ridiculous. This just cracks me up. I can't believe I'm gonna talk about this, but here we go. Tucker Carlson.
Ugh.
Tucker Carlson this week had an exclusive interview
Yeah.
with a man by the name. Let me be serious first, but then I laugh. All right, Tucker Carlson had somebody named Larry Sinclair on his show on X, and Larry Sinclair. Oh my God! Let me actually just read the tweet first. Here is Tucker Carlson's tweet from Wednesday on X, episode 22. Larry Sin. Oh my God! All right, here we go. Episode 22. I can't believe I'm doing this. Seriously, this is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen in my life, and I really mean that. Like top 20, and again, but here we go. Tucker Carlson tweeted on Wednesday afternoon, episode 22. Larry Sinclair said he had a night of crack cocaine fueled sex with Barack Obama, and the Obama came back for more the next day. Assess for yourself. Here's our interview. And oh my God. Yes. So Tucker Carlson had somebody who is an alleged crackhead say that he had sex with Obama. And getting more deep into this, he said a man who claims he had sex with Obama in 1999 tells his story. And then this is off from his chat and the book Barack Obama and Larry Sinclair: Cocaine, Sex, Lies, and Murder. And he said, and this is his actual quotes in the damn interview. I had given Barack $250 to pay for coke. I started putting a line on a CD tray to snort, and the next thing I knew, he's got a little pipe and he's smoking it, he said in the video. So I just started rubbing my hand along his thighs to see where it was going, and it went in a direction I had intended to go. So be it as you will. And Political wound up doing some more research on him. This guy Sinclair has had a criminal history, including convictions of forgery, fraud, and larceny charges, and has served prison time in Arizona, Florida, and
Read that as
Colorado.
lies, and paper lies. By the way,
So this guy's a criminal history.
of
He's a
lying.
crackhead.
Well, that
He is
too.
a crackhead. And Tucker Carlson, despite how you feel about Tucker Carlson, he at least is a big name in journalism. And he decides to bring a crackhead to say he had sex with the former president of the United States. Ryan, what are we going in this world?
I just want to say, Dave Portnoy getting a second of 3 shouts tonight.
And maybe even some more.
He said that top to bottom, Larry Sinclair might be the least trustworthy human he's ever laid eyes on. They met, by the way, when Dave Portnoy went on Tucker's show to talk about a story we're going to cover a little bit later. Then he goes on to say that this story, I'd say his story has 0.0% of being true, and that's being generous. So Dave Portnoy, by the way, sensationalist newsman himself, is even like, this is bull. Tucker Carlson's not a journalist, so I'm going to push back on that. He's not a big name in journalism. He's a big name in right-wing conspiracy theories. He's a big name in MAGA. He's a big name in QAnon. He's a big name in all that stuff, right? And that's online, and they talk about current events, so you can think, oh, it's news, but they're not telling you anything. They're not giving you any information because nothing they say is true. And he does this whole assess for yourself. It's because he knows it's a lie. He can't tell you it's true because he's already been sued out of a job, by the way. And yeah, everyone's like, oh, he's got so many followers on X. Do you know how many people used to watch his show? Like, really, it was one of the most popular shows on
6
television.
million people a night on cable TV.
Huge numbers. He's getting less than half of that on X. And most of that's probably fake because Elon doesn't tell us what's actually happening on the app anyway. So he's already lied himself out of a job to the point where he's doing this. And this is what he comes up with. Larry Sinclair. Like, we did the joke about the gay Obama letter on this show. And even we knew at the time that was silly. We were making jokes about how you could use it to distract from your political. Like, we were making jokes because the letter, which was real, we saw the letter. Like, the letter exists. You know what I mean? Like, we took something that you could physically see and we're like, oh, this is silly. This is stupid. And he just took it and made a completely fucking made up bullshit nonsense. And he added coke to it. There's murder involved somehow. By the way, this all happened in 1992, according to Larry Sinclair. Obama was married for multiple years, and he had a daughter. His eldest daughter was already born at the time that Larry Sinclair supposedly hooked up with Barack Obama. It just doesn't make any sense. And the only reason he's doing it is frankly because Tucker Carlson is mentally unstable. And I know that the comments are going to look at me being all flustered and say, oh, look at this, pot, meat, kettle. Maybe that's true, but I'm willing to admit it. Tucker Carlson.
He had somebody who was on crack.
Yes, exactly. He had an actual drug-addled man who has been convicted of lying multiple times. Fraud, forgery, all of that is lying. Those are lying-based crimes where you do something that's not true. And all he says is, he tries to protect himself with assess for yourself. He's the most annoying kid from college. You know those libertarians you meet in college?
Oh, yeah.
He's one of them.
Now.
Only worse because at least the libertarians are not like openly bigoted and openly calling for violence against Democrats, which Tucker Carlson frequently does. So, like, he's just that annoying, well, actually, kid, or he thinks he can legalese himself out of being a jackass by saying assess for yourself. No, Tucker, you did an hours-long conversation with a person who was lying the entire time. for no reason. There's no benefit. No one knows who Larry Sinclair is. He's nobody. Obama's not the president. He can never be the president. Like, he's just a dude at this point. Like, really, he's just a dude. Unless you can prove this, this is just a guy calling another guy gay. That's what this story is, unless you can prove it. If you have proof, then that's different. But without it, you're just, oh, this is my buddy Larry. He thinks this guy named Barack is gay. That is the story without, like, because, again, Obama's not the president. He's never going to be president again. Larry Sinclair is not doing anything other than, crack. So I just don't understand, like, and how do you people, I say you people, I don't know if any of you are listening, watch him. How does anybody watch this? With, like, how do you go and sit down and waste your life? There's a finite amount of time in your life. You could get hit by a bus tomorrow. How could you spend an hour plus listening to that bullshit? It doesn't make any sense. Like, go outside, like, hug a loved one, do something that isn't
Feed the
watch
homeless.
that. Feed the homeless, do something.
I guess the people who are watching it, some are that crazy as him, and he clearly doesn't care either.
What did we do as a country?
We were too bored with We were too bored with hard hitting journalists like Walter Cronkite. We said this is too boring.
But it's just, I don't even think it's boring. Like, we did something. We screwed up somewhere, and I don't know where, but we have to figure it out so we could stop doing it. Because what the hell? If you watch that whole thing, like, I'm ashamed of you. I'm just gonna say it. If you watch that entire thing,
only to see where. I know what you mean.
If you sat down and said, "Oh, Tucker's got this interview,"
like, crackhead.
Yeah, and like,
smoke crack.
It's just, it doesn't make any sense. And I watched his Andrew Tate one. I saw clips of the Portnoy one. Like, I'm not saying I've never seen this show, but if you sat through the Larry Sinclair episode of this show, if you sat there and watched this whole thing, then I don't know what to do. I don't know where you are, but it's certainly not with the rest of us. It's somewhere different. It's asinine that this asinine. I don't know. I want this to be funnier. I usually try and throw in some jokes, but this is just stupid. It's a stupid story for stupid people. It's stupid.
Stupid is as stupid does, Ryan. But yeah, this is just insane. Want to talk about another stupid thing? Let's talk about what happened in Maryland. A Maryland police officer was suspended after a bystander recorded a video of him embracing a woman and entering the backseat of his patrol vehicle with her at a public park. Officials announced on Tuesday. There's a video out there. He clearly is in uniform. This girl was apparently really into it. And you know what probably happened? Some hibbity-dibbity in there. And I mean, wow. How you all talk about stupid, Ryan. In a time where police officers really are trying their best to connect with communities, and people tried to defund them.
That time.
Then you see this person getting it on with somebody. They couldn't wait. I mean, what if there was a legitimate crime happening and he's too busy?
How old is she? She looks pretty young. There might have been a legitimate crime happening, by the way. But yeah, I mean, what's it called? I guess it is defend and serve. So there's two parts of that coin. I guess he felt the best way he could serve was idle.
Oh man. They identified the officer as Francisco Marlette. And by the way, he was previously accused of abusing a former girlfriend's child in the 2016 case, but the charges were dropped. Ooh. Oh man.
That's no good. And that kind of led some credence to the idea that maybe this what is it called? Deputy. We'll say deputy might not have been an age appropriate partner for the beat. But yeah, obviously this guy's in trouble, right? Even if everyone
should he be allowed to protected serve after this?
No, probably not. I don't have that much confidence that it will matter. As you said, it didn't look coerced. It didn't look like he forced anyone. So if everyone was age appropriate.
By the way, reading this article from NBC News, is Nelson Okoa, who recorded the video, told NBC Washington the officer and woman were in the back seat for 30 to 40 minutes before they went their separate ways.
Wow.
Oh God.
That's good. Um,
Not when you're on duty.
no, yeah, for him it's good.
I
What did
get
you do at work today? But
be a shitty police officer.
that's one way to look at it. It's the right way to look at it, by the way. I
Mm,
just, yeah, I don't have any confidence that they'll get rid of this guy. If everybody was, if no crimes are committed, because actual crimes have been committed by police officers and nothing happens for the most part. So,
yeah.
short of murder, and even that's a bit of a coin flip. So I'm not expecting anything to happen, but yeah, I would say that this individual is certainly not focused on the protect part of the job. Although hopefully he did use protection. Uh, but yeah, clearly not doesn't have his eye on the ball when it comes to serving the community in a way that would be not X-rated. So yeah, honestly, I feel like he's more likely to get fired just for not doing his job than he is for like actually having done something wrong. Because yeah, in fairness, he didn't do his job. He was very, very publicly doing something other than his job while on duty. So I feel like even if there's nothing wrong here, the department should still be like, we have you on camera. Can you imagine like every time you just like were on your phone or whatever, someone had like a camera and could watch you not doing work
I mean,
at
true.
work?
There's hundreds of millions of examples of that probably, and like you also just seeing stuff you're not allowed to do. Like one thing I see from police officers a lot is a lot of them text and drive. Like it's
Right.
it's really nuts.
But
And
they
like,
don't
what am
get
I?
caught. This guy got caught.
Fair enough. I mean, you see him, and I can't take a picture while I'm
Well, yeah,
driving.
he'll pull you over for using your phone while driving.
You're just like, well, I got this. I don't give it. I don't care. I don't see what happens.
Yeah, then that's when he'll take it and accuse you of having, illegal photos or something on your phone uh, to confiscate it, so you can't share it with anybody. But yeah, I obviously, in my opinion, yeah, this guy probably has to go. I'm not holding my breath just because stranger things have happened, and no one got hurt, and theoretically everybody was legal. But it's never good to get caught skipping your job while you're at work. And at the bare minimum, he did do that. Even if no other crime was committed, even if nothing else wrong happened, everyone in the world watched him just not do his job for 30 to 40 minutes, apparently. So, at least, when he gets back out on the dating scene, because assuming he's got a partner, probably doesn't anymore. When he gets back out on that dating scene, no one will confuse him for like a minute man. Uh, so I guess he's got that going for him. NBC confirmed he's got that game, but I don't. As terms of his police officer, yeah, probably not great for his future in law enforcement. I'm glad we're not blaming the woman, by the way, because she wasn't working. Well, or
No,
debatably, but not actually.
I guess they
Uh,
really couldn't wait for him to get off work, huh?
I don't. It doesn't
Just
seem like
in a
it doesn't
public
seem like they
park.
were together. It doesn't seem like to be clear. It's not like his girlfriend came to visit him at work and they decided to have like a quickie. It seems like this was a stranger. Uh,
He
and
just spit game.
I guess I don't
Did the
know.
Riz.
I don't know. Maybe he paid her. That's illegal. He'll be in trouble if he did that. Again, maybe not because he's a police
I
officer,
don't
but
know.
I just they didn't. I saw the video. They didn't look like they were together up until the moment they were very much together. You know what I mean?
Man, that guy who shot the video is like, wow, I really have a TMZ moment I'm
I want to
capturing.
know why he was filming.
Didn't
Like,
have
what
anything better to
something
do.
must have been happening between those two before, which warranted him filming, right? Like he wasn't just filming a cop to see what if something cool happens. He clearly saw something go down and said, "I want to film this." And I would love to know what was happening. Was she like trying to get out of being in trouble? You know what I mean? Like, was he trying to like
Will she come out with
reprimand
that?
her? Yeah, did he give her a ticket and she decided to pay it right off rip? I'm just like, I don't know, but he something must have happened that made that guy film. He didn't just decide to film a police officer and then have the luckiest break of all time.
Who the hell knows anymore, Ryan? Who the hell knows? All I know is that cop is rightfully suspended. Um, you're going to give more people who are like ACAB a reason to get more pissed off at police officers. And please have better examples of great police officers doing great work, which most of them do. And but clearly not this one.
Well, again, maybe for one loyal citizen, but
Yeah.
yeah, for everybody else, he's definitely came up a little short.
All right, this one's going to be a good one. So, Dave Portnoy, the founder of the sports and pop culture blog Barstool, got into a on-camera dispute with Dragon Pizza owner Charlie Red while Portnoy filmed his review of their pizza, which he called a floppy mess and gave it a 6.4 out of a 10. Dave is minding his own business, and then Charlie Red comes out and says, "I don't like what you're doing to small businesses." Goes, minds his business. He wants to enjoy his pizza, but I don't like what you do for small businesses. Goes back into the restaurant, comes out, they have a dispute, comes back in, goes back out, have another dispute. Portnoy's calling out his small shirt. He's, I guess, Charlie Red saying how he, more terrible things, the New York Times article and all of that. And they go back and forth. Portnoy giving him the middle finger. Portnoy said this is the worst pizza place ever. And even though the story is a week old, it has, and at first, I'll admit to, a lot of people said that his business is going down. A lot of people have that.
Who's a lot of people?
Oh, I said it. I'm part of this who thought his business was killed. I'll say that. And but we have seen a lot of people come out to support this restaurant, but we've also had commentators say it's horrible. Yelp.
I wonder who said that was going to happen.
Who knows? Who knows? Now, Yelp has prevented people to review this place, and Google Reviews hasn't had a review of Dragon Pizza
in a week. Yeah,
in a week too. So, listen, this is a very interesting story. This clearly helped both sides out because Portnoy said that he got over the million subscriber mark after this video. And yeah, this was quite a altercation that a lot of people will remember for a long time. But Ryan, you and me went back and forth texting on this. I said yes, the business is going. You said no, but there's plenty of articles that show that no, that business is booming. Boom. But we've also seen, we've also seen the rise of Dom of the Year. But I followed him. He's kind of annoying. He's really coating on. He's really holding the coaster for this.
I was gonna say, what did I love about this video? And of course, it's everything. Dom of the Year was funny in the video. Since then, he's gotten annoying.
Like Dom. Bro, this is when you start your normal.
I will say, you know what he did? I saw one clip from him, one tweet from him. He was just minding his business in his car, and he heard a group of people talking about the Barstool video next to him, and so he went over to them, and they're like, "Oh, it's Dom of the Year." So Dom of the Year in the video was funny. Well, I mean, I think more actually his interactions with Dave Portnoy was funny because Portnoy is funny. What's it called? The shirt comments were very funny. And then what's the father tossed his earbud into a sewer by accident trying to get a picture with Dave Portnoy. It was just, the whole thing is insane. It's the wildest thing I think I may have seen in a long time online. And it did help everybody. This is that example of all publicity is good publicity.
One thing I just wish, since we moved the Tweetcast from Mondays to Thursdays, that would have been perfect for Thursday. But even a week later, there's still people talking about it. So
well, there is, because like you said, we've seen now two very different responses online. And also, Matt, I want you to look at who's writing these responses. So I sent you a bunch, obviously, because I mean, in fairness, I want to say full disclosure, as much as I'm more right than that, just gonna throw that out there. In this particular case, I'm more correct. The business is not going out of business. I think we can both agree that his business will not be ending because of this fight, as you predicted. But I also said that it would still hurt his business. I said he might lose some people. You know what I mean? Like, it's probably not great, but he's a local pizza place. The people of Somerville are not going to stop eating at their local pizza place because Dave Portnoy gave it a 6, especially because it wasn't that bad a review until the fight.
I've
I mean,
seen
he
a lot of
tried.
work. I've seen a lot of work, a lot of worse reviews.
Yeah, I mean, even
Like
even
a
again
lot.
before the
That's
fight,
pretty
Portnoy was like,
normal. That
"Listen,
is
like."
half.
He was like, yeah, he was like a little too much Parmesan, a little bit floppier than I was expecting. He was like, he even said, like, I also let it sit for a while. I didn't eat it right when it was done. So maybe that's probably like, he was actually being sort of kind. He picked it because it had a lot of reviews on the app that Portnoy launched, the One Bite app. Like, that's why he picked it, because a lot of people on his own app, like in his own community, said, try this place out. So, like, it actually wasn't that bad a review until they started flipping each other off and the side of the road. But I thought it might hurt a little, but like not a ton. I did not anticipate him to be. I mean, he sold out. He had to close early because they ran out of pizza stuff.
But is it good pizza? Is it out of
I don't. Well,
curiosity?
so what I'm
That's the
saying is,
thing.
when you look at who's publishing stuff, like USA Today, the New
Mm-hmm.
York Post, Rolling Stone covered it. Like, the people who gave this a generally positive review for what's his name, Charlie Red,
Chris Red.
Chris Red.
Oh no, Charlie
Uh,
Red. Sorry, Chris Red
Charlie
is
Red,
from
yeah.
SNL.
The people who gave Charlie Red the general like the good, this is good, or talked it up, they were all like major kind of legacy news. The people who ran with Portnoy, obviously Barstool ran, worst pizza
Mm-hmm.
place in America. And then it was like local independent guys. It was
Mm-hmm.
like one-man shops or like three-man shops who cover local news in their hometown, and not just the hometown of Somerville, but like, if you cover local food in like Detroit, or you cover local food, like, those are the people who sided with Portnoy. And it just shows the crazy, crazy divide that news has. Like, when people talk all the time,
Yeah.
like, where you get your news matters. This is like a low stakes version of that. If you just read the main news stuff, you would think that this pizza place like stood up to a massive bully who was,
Yeah,
shitting all over them. And if
that's
you read
true.
the small news, like not, and I don't want to say local because I'm not talking about like local newspapers. I'm talking about, you listen to the small time bloggers, or like the mid-sized bloggers who kind of have like a regional appeal or whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
they're independent. They don't work for a larger company. They don't have an editor. It's just them or just a couple of them. They make it sound like kind of how you said it, and that's really the video shows. Portnoy was just eating pizza and got accosted on the street, which is what happened, by the way.
Yeah, he really did
Um,
was minding his business, and
yeah,
he
no, he
made it
wasn't
work.
inside the store. He was on the street. Now again, like the way they describe it as the worst pizza ever, even Portnoy, up until the fight, hadn't said that was true. There are worse pizzas that he's had on his review. So like, it's just crazy. This is like a weird. What I love about this story, more than of course being generally right, is that you could see, like, depending on like how you look at the news, like if you're more of a small, I want to, I want to trust one guy from down the road to tell me what's going on. I don't trust CNN. I don't trust New York Post. I don't trust these places, right? Then it kind of tracks. Like, that's, the way they look at this is the way they look at so many other things in that worldview. Whereas if you get all your news from like New York Post or USA Today, both of those, by the way, politically different ideologically, you hear a whole different story. You know what I mean? It's just so crazy to me. Like, this one story became like a Rorschach test for
Mm-hmm.
people.
It's the
But
divide
also,
of
I mean,
journalism.
yeah, exactly. About the impact of journalism and the way we, like the consumer, have siloed ourselves off.
Yeah,
But I will
and
say that I don't think the pizza is that good. I bet you a lot of these people are going.
Parmesan pizza is not good. It's supposed to be mozzarella.
I think that a lot of these
Unless it's
people are
pizza free.
going. You know what I mean? Because
A lot of people what?
are going because of the fight.
Oh,
Uh,
1000%.
so these numbers will come back to earth. Dragon Pizza is not going to become the single greatest pizza place, in American history because of Dave Portnoy. And I'll say that Dave
He will.
Portnoy's subscribers
Yeah.
aren't going anywhere. So right now, everybody won, and everyone's going to make a little more money, and good for everybody. At the end, Dragon Pizza will go back to normal. Portnoy will keep his subscribers. So at the end, Portnoy wins, which is pretty
And that's the
common
big
spot for him.
question too. Like, if Yelp and Google didn't prevent the reviews, would it have gone down? That's why I thought the business would go down, because of how negative that type of negative publicity really does make an effect.
So I'll
But
be
I get,
honest, you're right, except if you type in Dragon Pizza right now, and I did it multiple times today, it doesn't even show you the Yelp page. It takes you right to
it knows.
Barstool. It takes you right to New York Times. It takes you right to New York Post. It takes you right to USA Today.
What a
It
weird
takes you
name for a
right to
pizza
that.
place too. Dragon Pizza.
And the box was kind of cool with the graffiti art, but no,
Yeah.
it takes you right to it takes you right there.
Right.
And so no one's going to even see the reviews. If you're looking up Dragon Pizza at this point, like if you're looking it up online, you're going to see this fight, and you're going to see the positive reviews. You're going to see the negative review, and basically it's going to become, do you like Dave Portnoy or not?
And yeah, that's a true thing about, we'll talk about Portnoy a lot in the past, and we will continue to talk about him
Yeah,
in the sense of being an influencer. A
one
lot
of
of
the
people
top
don't like him.
influencers ever.
A lot of
No, a lot of
people
people don't
don't
like him.
like it. No, I'm saying,
A lot
sorry,
of
I
people
should
love
say
him.
that. A lot of people love him. There's also a lot of people who don't like him in the journalism world.
Yeah.
So if they have their chance to come back at him for this,
Well, I
like
think it's
some of those.
also, we should be clear. There's a lot of people who don't like him outside of the journalism world too.
Oh, of course.
He's
He
definitely
is
got
as
he's a
polarizing as it
controversial
gets.
figure to a lot of online folks. And then I mean, you'd be surprised. A lot of people probably don't know who he is. Like,
Yeah, Brendan met him. He said he's an amazing guy.
I mean, he seems like a very interesting guy. I mean, again, I don't think me and him are very similar politically, but I
Mhm.
don't actually hate Dave Portnoy. I do
Yeah.
think he's a little, again, aggressive and trollish online, but he's far from the only one, and he's far from the worst. But yeah, he seems interesting. I would definitely I would be awesome to meet him. But
Seriously.
I just think that it's just so interesting the way that this, again, to me, the way that this is split, and like the way that it's been covered so differently in like the blog sphere versus like the legacy news sphere is just so fascinating to me, because if you read the blog stuff, it's the worst pizza place ever. And if you read like anything else, it's a pizza place that is racking in like thousands of people and selling out, and like, you know what I mean? It's crazy the way that what you read could change the way you see something that is objectively, like, you know what I mean? Like when it's stuff that matters, it's hard to like separate that, you know what I mean? Separate your own feelings about important stuff.
Yeah.
But this is a pizza place in Somerville. Like, I'm never gonna go to Somerville, Massachusetts. I don't know about you. This is not
I never
inspiring
heard
me
of
to head there.
Somerville, Massachusetts until
Yeah, it's
this
like
whole
outside of
thing.
Boston, I guess. But
Yeah, it's a JOB town.
so it's just like, you know what I mean? No one's gonna go there. So like for everyone to look at it, it's such low stakes for most people involved. And it's just crazy to see the way that we just split ourselves in half, like instantly,
Over a pizza place.
over a pizza place. Because we do it with everything, but like just to see it for this pizza place was just kind of cool, because you get to like take yourself out of
I
it.
will say one thing before we move on.
Yeah.
That was completely wrong what he said about not helping small businesses.
Oh, 100%.
Like, that's almost offensive for the businesses that he genuinely saved during the pandemic. And
Yeah,
as
$50
he said,
million during COVID for small businesses. Like,
that's
listen,
an asinine comment.
yeah, like
Completely
you can
false.
come at Portnoy for being a troll. I think that's true. Um, the New York Times thing, I know Portnoy says that's a hit piece. Maybe it is, maybe it's not, but that's something that you could have a problem with. But yeah, you do nothing for small business is not accurate.
And look what he did for
And also,
Dragon
he said
Pizza.
like you don't do anything for like pizza either. And I mean, the One Bite app, like he's
he
done a
is
lot for
he is the
pizza.
most important. What's the word? He is the truly the be all end all for pizza places in this whole country. He
Well,
is the
again, I think most
biggest
people
reviewer.
probably ignore him. To be clear, I don't think most people care about Dave Portnoy's pizza reviews when they get pizza. They go to their local pizza place. But for
Mm,
people who are interested, Portnoy has done a lot. And so like he is
mm.
definitely a big part of like the online community around pizza, and a little bit into like the foodie culture in general. Barstool has a lot of sponsors in like food and alcohol. So like the idea that he's done nothing for that industry, in addition to nothing for small, those are just unfortunately two completely false statements. $50 million for small businesses, some of the most influential products, like High Noon exists because of Dave Portnoy. What's it called? The Pink Whitney, all that took off because of Dave Portnoy. White Claws were a Portnoy thing up until he got High Noon. Like, you know what I mean? Like a lot of different things have come from Portnoy and Barstool. because he's an important guy. Whether you like him or not, a lot of young people, even young people who don't like him that much, a lot of their content comes from his site, or a lot of the conversation is around stuff that they're doing. So,
What a guy.
but yeah, I'll say in this case, he did just kind of get yelled at, and it was a little funny because he kept coming out.
Yeah,
It's like, and
dude.
another thing, and
And another thing.
whole time Dom of the Year just talking to Dave Portnoy as if this isn't happening. He was like, no, this is my big break. I'm on camera. Dave Portnoy is here.
I think he would have had more fame if he wasn't just. That's truly 15 minutes of fame that he just overrun. Like, I'm sure you know Frank the Tank, right?
Yeah.
You know how they discovered him?
No.
Because he was spazzing out against the New Jersey transit system for being late at a Met game. They said they liked him and they gave him a shot. And he didn't do what Dom of the Year is. Hey, if I'm going to be on, please email me for exclusive interviews. I actually thought about reaching out to him, see what he would say.
Dom?
Yeah, he's just putting it out there. And I was like, I don't think that'll move the needle much, but yeah, he was putting it out there.
You never know. You never know.
It's still up there. We'll invite him, but if he's asking for a fee, then $5 max.
We're not paying him.
But Portnoy reviewed Colony.
Yeah, I saw
it a 9.2.
Yeah, he's done a couple Colony, right? Or did he just do the Stanford one?
I think he just did the Stanford one. He did Rigo's too, which is a complete ripoff.
Yeah, I watched the Colony Stanford one. I thought he did another one too, but yeah, and he gave it. He said it was good bar pizza, right? He said he grew up on bar pizza. It was
great. Yeah, he said 9.2.
Awesome, yeah,
he said it was one of the best pizzas.
Colony's my favorite pizza. I think it's the best pizza in Connecticut. Everyone go to Colony Pizza. The one bite, everybody knows the rules, but actually, Colony got to get a whole pizza. So
fair prices for now.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And two, imagine just for local. What if he went to Little Nick's in Norwalk and he had this alternate creation with Al the pizza guy?
I can't. I'll get in trouble if I comment any further. I lived near there. Grew up near there. So.
Al the pizza guy.
Yeah.
All right, Ryan. There was a divorce attorney who's been popping all over TikTok for an interview he did on the Art of Manliness podcast. His name is James Sexton. He is a divorce attorney based in New York City.
Incredibly manly name. Sorry, continue.
And he has helped litigate and finalize more than 1,000 divorces. And he's had various opinions on the matter. He was married himself. And
it worked out well.
And he's given this various advice on his opinion on marriage, and he talked about both the legal issues with it, or not legal issues, the legal ramifications, and whether it's a good or bad idea to get married on a legal standpoint. He's also talked about prenups, how he's in support of them, and he's talked about, he personally doesn't see as many marriages, really do the true love factor, which helps his business and career. But there are points where he said it really can work, but it's extremely rare. But I've definitely seen polarized comments on Sexton and his opinions on the matter, and I found it very interesting. And you, as a married man, I thought I would love to hear your perspective on it. So I guess the one question we could start with James Sexton is, do you think he has valid arguments against marriage? And I know that might be hard for you as a newly married person, but do you think at least what he's saying may or may not make sense?
So my biggest gripe with it, you kind of said this, is that he says that he sees marriage working as rare. Mm-hmm. And then he goes on to say 75% of marriages are either end in divorce or in unhappiness. And that number is made up. That's my biggest problem with everything he said, actually. Mm-hmm. It's really the only problem I have. He goes 75% just about or 76. He says over 3/4.
Yeah.
When, again, you can't factor in unhappiness. There's no number. There's no
unhappiness number.
There's no number of married people who are unhappy. They don't have that number. It doesn't really exist. They do have numbers for divorce, though. And it's nowhere near 70%. It's between 40 and 50%. So realistically, it's about a coin flip marriage. actually. And again, as a newly married person, I will say that statistically speaking, it's about a coin flip whether or not you live happily ever after or end up unhappy and divorced. Um, so that's my biggest gripe with it, is that he's trying to sell all of his stuff based on just a complete fabrication, which is 76% of marriages end in divorce or unhappiness. I think that his points are fine if you had no intention of getting married. If you were looking for a reason not to get married, I don't think he.
Look at this
Then
video.
I think, yeah,
He'll
he
scare
gave you.
you off.
Yeah, he gave you some reasons to consider to consider not getting married. There are reasons to get married, obviously. I think the idea that there isn't love even in these marriages that end in divorce is weird. It's weird because he does this whole thing, and we're not gonna get into this on the show. Does this whole thing to kind of rail against the legal system and like the systems that we have in place for married. Like that seems to
It's
be his
irrelevant
big.
to the
Yeah.
conversation.
But by doing so, he seems to be like, so by talking about that one systematic thing, he seems to be like considering another one as totally true, which is that like you fall in love with a person and it's a true love and it's the only love you'll ever have.
The Hollywood,
And
the
right,
Hollywood
yeah,
love story.
two people to see each other, the sparks fly, and it's passion and love and romance forever. That's I don't believe love. I am married currently, and I don't believe that that's how love works.
Yeah,
I mean, my wife and I were friends for a long time without any romantic feelings, without any. You know what I mean? Like, so eventually, it happened. Obviously,
yeah.
the romance was there, and we ended up married. But we were again friends for like 2-3 years before that happened.
Mhm.
And we could hang out, we could talk, we could, you know what I mean? Like she met people I was dating, I met people that she was dating.
Mhm.
Um, and there was no weirdness, there was no issues on either of our ends. So the idea that you meet this person and it's like one person for one person and like it's just an instant magnetic thing, that's not true. And he kind of counts that as true. He's just like he bakes that into everything he's saying. It's like some people feel that, but most people don't. And that's true, but that's because that's not how love works. That's not how you fall in love. But
It's
that's just the
work.
one side.
Like,
Right, yeah, that's just the one side. I would say the other thing that he completely discounts is the idea of starting a family, right?
mhm.
And frankly, the idea of getting laid. The studies prove it. If married folks actually get laid more, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Partners right there,
Mhm.
as opposed to not married folks. And also, there's a massive decrease right now in that in those activities amongst people
Mhm.
compared to like our
The
parents and our
hibbity
grandparents.
dibbities.
Yeah. So like again, actual studies with actual facts, not the 75% number.
Mhm.
People are having less engagements with one another, single folks, and so that's one reason to get married. Frankly, just that specific act, and B, companionship in general, and also there's a lot of studies that show that married couple, a married family, or two parents are better for raising kids. Now, some of that is because of a lack of resources for single parents, and I'm not at all suggesting that shouldn't be addressed. That should be addressed. Every kid should have the same resources, so they can go to the same schools, get the education they. All right, fine, put that away. If you don't believe me, I couldn't care less. So I'm not talking about the resources. Just factually, if it's if in the caveat, if it's a happy marriage, if you're not fighting and hitting each other or getting drunk and high all the time because you hate being with one another, if it's a happy marriage, if it's two people who get along, it like the facts show it's better for the development of kids. A family is better
Oh
for the
yeah.
development of kids if it's a happy family. So if you want to have kids, if you want to, have a family someday, then marriage is pretty much like the best way to do that. It's not the only way, certainly not the only way, but it is definitely the best way to do that. Um, is to have two partners. And so I think that, and the two partners, by the way, doesn't need to be the biological parents either, but that's neither here nor there. So I think that he discounts a lot of good with what he's saying.
A
And he
lot of
did
the
it to
some of
go
the
viral.
comments were like, "Oh, who hurt him?" and stuff like that
Well,
too.
I
Mhm.
don't, and I don't know if it's again maybe his own experience or again it went viral. people talked about this like crazy. That was
Yeah.
probably what he wanted more than anything. People talking about him. So he could sell his business. He could sell his books. I'm sure he's got books. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, I mean, I'm sure he did what he wanted. But I do think that his whole thing just completely discounts some really important stuff about marriage outside of like his one view. And again, I don't know anything about prenups. I had nothing but debt, and my wife had nothing but debt, so we didn't sign one because as of right now, we separated. We both get nothing. But and so maybe maybe if your situation is different, that's fine too.
Like if
Um,
you're Shiv and
yeah,
geez, how am I
exactly.
forgetting his
Tom,
name? Shiv and Tom.
Tom,
That's when you have to do
Waystar
the
Royco CEO Tom Wamscans.
wonder how he's
Uh,
been doing since his promotion.
Probably not well. Probably he's already had a heart attack. But anyway, yeah, I think it was fine to go viral with. If you are looking for love, I wouldn't take it too seriously. He's left out quite a lot of potential worldviews to sell this
And
one.
the one thing is, it's always between you and your partner at the end of the day, like how this is supposed to roll. You two know how much you're in love with each other. I do believe in love. I'm lucky enough to see some great examples, whether my parents or grandparents, to show that true love exists in this world. And
But
I
love
think
looks different for
especially
everybody.
it's different for everybody in all orientations too. I think just don't be pessimistic, or you really can't be pessimistic or look down upon it, because how can you love someone if you don't love yourself or your views like that? Now, I've
Agreed.
definitely made fun of like relationships or people I've seen get married, because whether it's somebody I know who isn't loyal in the past and they're getting married now, or
Well, hey, people
other
can
things.
change. They don't
True.
often, but they can.
In that, and it did make me laugh when he said people want to get married but they don't want to stay married, and I only laugh
I'll
because
just say that was one of the worst. I mean, obviously, great. I love my wedding. Great wedding day. It cost so much money. It
yeah,
was such a
just
headache. Who's like, I want to get married and then
for
immediately
Instagram
stop?
or something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
right.
way too much money to get an Instagram post. I'm sorry. I think he's totally off. Maybe he comes from money and so he doesn't get it.
True.
Maybe he's a rich kid at heart. I don't know. But like that was a lot of money. You got to give it
Just
at
to get an
least
Instagram pic.
5 years just to try and make the return on investment. I mean, come on.
Oh boy, 5 years, man. Yeah, it's interesting, but I am for true love. I love seeing love. Hopefully it happens to me soon. I know it will. I'm sure it will. Whenever it happens, I can't put the timeline on it. I just have to live my life, and then it'll just happen like it's happened with you, right?
Exactly.
And when you try, it definitely won't happen. So we will see. Anybody DM me at Matt Brown 300, and we'll go on our first date. So leave that
If you
up
love
there.
love like Matt, at T Tweetcat.
Yes. All right, let's end it off with another hilarious food story. This is an actual headline from the Associated Press. This isn't what I ordered. Lawsuits accuse Burger King. Lawsuit accuses Burger King others of ads that misrepresent their foods. That's a weird. This isn't what lawsuits accuse Burger King, comma others of ads that misrepresent their
It's
foods.
just
Okay.
and others, but they didn't put the and. Read
Oh,
that
okay.
comma as and others.
Okay. Whoops. Great job, English class. All right. Anyways, Burger King is in some bad times. All right. Food ads have made a lot. Okay. So pretty much there's a class action lawsuit saying that Burger King, when given the Whopper specifically, it does not look or feel like the burger that is portrayed in the ads or the pictures. People actually took the time to get litigation, to hire lawyers, to fight Burger King about how their food is being represented. And they say they're being cheated, they're being reprimanded, there is straight up false advertising, and something has to be done apparently. Ryan,
Apparently.
are you on Team Burger King or the Team
I,
Classic Lawsuit?
I don't want to be on Team Burger King. So I'm not going to be on Team Burger King, but I'm not going to be on Team Lawsuit either. Frankly, the fact that the burger is smaller is probably to the benefit of the people in the lawsuit. Um, like what is going on? Are we okay,
No.
Matt? No, we're not.
No,
I'll
clearly
tell
not.
you.
We've had many examples on this show alone to show that society
And
needs
I'll tell
help.
you why. I'll tell you why. Because this might be about Burger King, but we're feeling like I got a group of Ronald McDonald clowns out here. Who is measuring the burger? Going to Burger King, like in addition, going to fast food should be like kind of a last resort for people. Going to Burger King should be somewhere below last resort for people. Like it's it's not Wendy's or McDonald's or any of the big. I mean, I guess it was a big one, but like who's going to Burger King? So this all goes down to like the practices that they use. And I will say, I did a internship very poorly, I might add, in marketing for Sodexo. Um, which was, and this is where I learned that social media was not my thing, by the way. That I could do communications if it was written communications, but I needed more than 140 characters and images to tell people what's going on. And so I worked for Sodexo and I had to take pictures of food. And all of the food pictures, in addition to just me being bad at, social media photography, all of the pictures looked like trash.
Oh
Taking a
yeah.
picture of food your food never looks good.
No.
Never. Unless you do the stuff that Burger King and McDonald's and Subway do, where they like paint it and it's like basically inedible by time they get to the photo shoot. So just like I just want to point that out. But I don't get how it's false advertising. You got a Whopper. Like they said, here's the Whopper. You ordered you genuinely ordered the Whopper because you thought it was going to be 3.875
Mhm.
ounces of meat. No.
You thought you were going to get what it looks like, and there are viral videos of them manipulating the food, whether the it is perfectly stacked based on on a on a toothpick, and then they like literally color the food some more,
Yeah,
like the
but
colors and stuff.
who thought you were who thought you were getting that? No one is
Idiots.
that stupid.
Yes, they
Come
are
on.
clearly.
The burger when you order a Whopper, you're getting like a burger and lettuce and tomato and onion and cheese, and it's roughly this size, and it's on that sesame bun, and it's gonna come in a yellow package. That's what you're getting when you order a Whopper. Like when you go to Wendy's and you get like the double, right? You're gonna get those two square patties, and you're gonna get all the other stuff that comes on it with ketchup. That's what it is. Like you're not promised. Like I could take a picture of a tree and say, "Do you want to buy this tree?" And you say yes, and you come, but the leaves have fallen off. Now the tree is different. It's the same tree. I didn't promise you the tree in the picture. I promised you a tree, and I took a picture of it so you could see a tree. It just doesn't make sense. Like no one reasonably went to Burger King having seen a Burger King commercial saying, "I'm going to eat that sandwich." They saw the commercial. They said, "Oh, I'm feeling a little bit like I could cheat. Maybe it's your
I
cheat
want the
day."
picture. I want the food on the
No,
picture.
but I don't know. No one said that. No one actually did that. These people had to have been selected to do a lawsuit. This had to have been coordinated
So,
and planned.
according to this article, if this is true from the AP, Burger Perkins Coy, a law firm, tracks that class action lawsuit says that 214 lawsuits were
This year.
made against food and beverage companies in 2021 and
Or yeah.
alone. They
And
were
the
very
year
upset.
before was 45.
Yeah, exactly. So,
This feels to me like people thinking they can get rich by
like, is
eating
this
junk food.
are we about to see a new trend in this country?
Well, no, because I mean, this is a lot of work. You know what I
to,
mean?
to actually get the lawyer
This
to
goes
say
back to spending like
Burger King must
40K
go
for an
down.
Instagram photo in a tuxedo. Like there's sometimes some things are not worth it to most people, and I feel like getting into a class action against Burger King is one of those things. That's probably just not worth it to
What
most people.
does the judge actually decide? This would be great for Rocky to have on.
I mean,
Like,
hopefully the judge actually decides that they need to join freaking, Planet Fitness and move on. Hopefully that's what the judge decides. But and again, I'm saying this is not the most physically fit guy, but like if you have so much Burger King that you could possibly have a legal suit against them, you've had too much Burger
What if
King.
they win though? I'm just saying. I don't know. What if the judge says, you know what? You are being lied to, manipulated.
But
You win.
how? No
I don't
one.
know.
You
We've
you
seen.
cannot
What
convince
if you have
me.
the greatest lawyer in the world to somehow prove it?
They maybe it's in Miami, so they can't. But if there's one that happens in DC, if it gets to federal court, hopefully they put me on the court because there's nothing, and I mean nothing, that they could show me that will convince me that those people thought reasonably that the freaking sandwich on their television was the one they'd be eating if they went to Burger King. Like when you watch a sporting event and you see like these close-up angles of your favorite player, are you expecting to get to zoom in on your favorite football player? No. Television is television. It's different. Yeah, obviously it's different. Like it just doesn't make sense how you could possibly convince me that all these people said, "Well, I saw what the burger looked like on TV, and I only wanted to eat the burger because I thought it must look like the one I saw on television." It just
Mhm.
does. You cannot convince me that that's what happened. Like people saw the commercial and said, "I could use a burger," and they went to Burger King and ordered a burger. Like that's what happened, guys. We don't have to be honest. I get it. You're in the middle of a lawsuit right now. You can't comment. That's fine. But that's what happened. No one was like, I'm going for this burger specifically because it has these char marks on it. Like, that's not why anyone go to fast food. They go to feel bad about themselves after they finish eating the fast food. That's why I do it. Like, come on.
Yeah, we're at an age now where it really does affect your body.
You just come on. Like, you don't that no one can possibly believe that all these people actually felt manipulated by Burger King. Again, not into eating their product, by the way. That I
But
almost
they
might
were
agree with. Like Burger King advertising should, include that it'll kill you if you have too much of it, and it doesn't.
like the
But like,
tobacco companies.
yeah, I might agree with that particular assessment, but no one can convince me that the only reason they went to Burger King was because they saw the ad. And I mean, the judge even threw most of that out. But the judge said the menu items could reasonably be considered biting. If you are in the Burger King, if you're standing in the Burger King, bro, you're gonna order Burger King. You don't care what the picture looks like. You're not gonna walk in, look at the picture, and be like, "Ooh, I'm gonna leave." If you made it all the way inside the Burger King, or like if you're sitting in the drive-through of the Burger King, you are pot committed to get in that Whopper. You just are. You can't convince me that the menu thing was misleading and that's why you ordered it. If you showed up, you were ordering it. Come on. Let's be real here. This the frivolous nonsense that gives the people, the bad faith people we've talked about on this show 100,000 times. The internet's full of them. The ammunition to talk, smack about society.
Now, what if you go into the suit? You have Esquire Rocky come in, right? And he makes the argument. Listen, Berger said, have it your way. They wanted the picture. It's not their way. And then they win.
But
They did say have it your way.
but that's again, that's not.
Semantics
Honestly,
range.
that makes more sense than what's happening because that's saying the slogan said you can have it your way, and they were unsatisfied with the way that they had it. This
Now I
is
need to
just
do
saying
law school.
this is about the pictures on the menus. It seems. And if you got to the point where you're looking at the pictures on the menu, you've already decided that you don't care which way you're gonna have it. You know what I mean? If you make it inside the Burger King, you're eating the Burger King. I don't care what it looks like. As long as it's not frozen, as long as it's not rotten. If you made it inside the Burger King already, if you found yourself in that building, in the King's Palace, right? You're committed to eat a Burger King or McDonald's or Wendy's. Like if you show up in that place, you're eating it. So let's not
Whopper,
lie.
Whopper, Whopper, Whopper.
Yeah. Also, listen to those commercials. They just repeated the name of the sandwich,
I
and
don't know
you
if this
went.
is actually true. Like I haven't done deep research. Somebody told me Hans Zimmer actually wrote that. Like, let me confirm that if he actually did the song.
That would be.
Um,
Well, you looked it up. That would be simply put the most phoning it in anyone has ever been.
Okay, here it is. According to um okay, I have a few okay, I have a few. We're gonna go back to Barstool here, but we have Lavisco. It says here. Okay, here it is. Burger King CEO Jose Clee reveals that he gave legendary film composer Hans Zimmer 13% control of the company as payment for the new Whopper Whopper jingle.
You promised it's that one, the Whopper Whopper. No, 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 no.
It says here, it says, yeah, it has it. Now, I don't see any like big name journalists say this, but except Barstool, but um, yeah, it says here that he is responsible for it.
It's wild. And they gave him 30% of the company for that.
Again, I feel like I need because there's Reddit comment saying it's true and stuff.
That's crazy. I mean, talk about phoning it in, man. Oh, you want a song about the Whopper? All right, we're just gonna go Whopper, 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 Whopper.
Look how far
and they're
society has
like,
come.
and they're like, yeah, that's actually pretty good, Hans. Thanks. Here's 13% of the company.
Yeah,
You're
we have
welcome.
to. We have to call Burger King themselves and ask, is this true? But that's enough before we get really hungry and we're just about out of time. But this was some good stuff, Ryan. Who knows what next week will bring? But hopefully, it's just as entertaining.
Hopefully, all those hungry people come to their senses. They all need a Snickers. What they need, because they're not them when they're hungry. Yeah.
Snicker. Well, we know Burger King is not going to advertise for us anytime soon, but Snickers give us a chance.
I'll do a Burger King ad read.
Do you think they'll give us a permission after that?
I've
Just
defended them. I'm not as a good restaurant, but it's not lying.
perfect. That's a good enough of a reason.
That's the nicest thing anyone's ever said about Burger King, I think.
I've always liked Burger King.
Really? You're a Burger King guy.
I mean, I really don't go. The only fast food I will go on a semi-regular basis now is Chick-fil-A, but there was definitely a
Nah,
time Burger King
overrated.
was the number one choice. Really, we'll have
Yeah,
to do a podcast around that.
we won't.
All right, good stuff, Ryan. We'll see you next week.
All right, see you, Matt.